How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another Football for Fun video. I am Daniel, and welcome to my top 10 quarterbacks breakdown, if you want to call it that. In case you don't know, I have two videos out ranking my top 32 NFL quarterbacks, starting from numbers 32 to 17, so basically the bottom half of the starters, and then going 16 through 11, so basically like the middling, just right outside the top 10 guys. So if you enjoy this video, these rankings and things like that, please do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. We just reached 100 and we got a few more after that, so we're really proud of that and are trying to sort of gain more. So just join the community. There's also Discord that you can sort of join. And yeah, without further ado, we're gonna go into my top 10 quarterbacks. Now again, as a little reminder, this isn't about, this isn't considering necessarily the system or things like that. This is also like basically for right here, right now. Like if I'm a coach or a GM and I need someone for the 2025 to 2026 NFL season, this is who I would want. So this is not about, 5 years from now necessarily, nor is this about, just for one game or anything like that. This is just for a full season, right here, right now. Who do I want as my quarterback? And we are going to go straight into it. At number 10, I have Justin Herbert. Now, I think Justin Herbert he's really interesting, obviously. I think a lot of people sort of think that as well. He's kind of the guy whom the internet kind of makes fun as being this, like, hypothetical guy. It's like, oh, hypothetically, if Justin Herbert, this and that, he'd be, like, the greatest quarterback of all time, right? I do think Justin Herbert's really good. I do, honestly, deep down, I think he probably could be, like, a top 5, 7 quarterback. I think he just hasn't necessarily had the most impressive showing his first few years in the league. Now, I also will acknowledge that his first few years in the league, he had awful coaching, starting with Anthony Lynn as the first head coach, and he got fired, then Brandon Staley, and obviously that kind of went to the wayside. And it feels like just now he's kind of like sort of rejuvenating his career with Jim Harbaugh. I think a lot of people tend to think that like Justin Herbert's like, just like, it's kind of like, people are like, oh, we've been waiting for a long time for you to like show us something. Should have done something by now. I think people forget I think he's 5 years into the league, going to his 6th. So this isn't like he's been in the league for like 10 years and like not shown us anything or anything like that. And I do understand he's never won a playoff game. He doesn't have the most impressive statistics in the world. His win-loss record, I believe, is just above 500. So I do understand where those people are coming from, which is honestly why he's at 10 and not like 7 or something like that. Honestly, I might be inclined to like even put him a little bit higher, just like based on like what I see when I see him play and like playing abilities and things like that. But I also understand that, Jim Harbaugh came and they decided to focus more on the run game, which did help Herbert because they made him throw much fewer times. And Jim Harbaugh comes and Justin Herbert actually had the lowest interception rate in the NFL at like 0.3% or something like that. It's actually kind of funny. Like, I didn't realize, like, no one really caught on to that. Which is that, in the regular season, he had 3 interceptions, but in the wildcard game against us, he had 4. So I just thought that was pretty funny, but I'm not deducting any points because of the wildcard game I saw where he kind of played terrible against us. I'm not sure what happened there, but I think Justin Herbert has the right situation. He has Jim Harbaugh. He just has a really good situation around him, and I think now is kind of the time where there's, like, really no excuses. Like, I give him a pass. Like, if you had Brandon Staley coaching you for, like, 5 years, I give you a little bit of a pass. I mean, you're not the second best quarterback, clearly, but I do think that he is worthy of a top 10 selection, maybe even, top 7, top 5, if he can really prove it. Again, like I say with a lot of these quarterbacks, it'll be challenging if people surpass you. Like, there will be a couple of younger guys, just coming up. But I think Justin Herbert's a really good quarterback. I think the Chargers have their franchise guy. Will they win a Super Bowl with him? Probably not. But, I have Justin Herbert at number 10. At number 9, C.J. Stroud. All right, so I do admit that I'm a little bit biased. I'm always going to admit on Football for Fun that I am a Texans fan first and foremost, so I'm going to be a teeny weeny bit biased. Now, here's the thing with CJ Stroud. Last year in 2024 was not very impressive, and I will admit that he was probably not. He was not a top 10 quarterback in 2024. He might have been like top 15. I mean, for all I know. But context does matter, and if you're a Texans fan, you watched CJ Stroud and you realize, like, well, he has no support on the offensive line. His weapons are hit and miss. Like, he theoretically had Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, and, like, what's his name, Nico Collins, but they were, like, in and out, you know, as far as, like, injuries go. Joe Mixon, too, and he also had a terrible play caller in, what's his name? I forget. It's so awful, I forgot. I'm blanking. Who's the offensive coordinator in Houston before? I could cut this out. This is actually kind of funny. Slowick. Yeah, Slowick. So Slowick is just awful. Like, he'll, like, call these, like, runs on, like, 1st and 10 that go nowhere, and then, like, you know, on 2nd and 10 calls them, like, you know, he'll do, like, a run on 2nd and 9, and it's just, like, he's just so awful, and I'm glad he is out of Houston. Like, geez. So CJ Stroud has had, you know, he's had a you know, pretty bad offensive line, pretty terrible play calling. I will say, though, as much as I'm complaining, he has had a pretty good support system overall. He has an elite defense, which not that directly impacts the quarterback, but kind of does indirectly. Like, if you can get turnovers and kind of give him chances to rest and things like that, it does help a quarterback to have a top defense. I mean, I think D'Amico Ryans has potential to be one of the best coaches in the league, and he does have good players on offense. He has Joe Mixon, Nico Collins, you know, Tank Dell when he was healthy, which now is not the case, but, you know, which again, I'm not trying to, you know, Dalton Schultz, which I'm not trying to say that in the context of, like, this matters for the rankings. I'm just kind of acknowledging that, like, I do understand that even though CJ struggled, he did have stuff to, like, work with. All that to say, I think CJ's a little bit better than people give him credit for. So I was, like, looking up kind of, like, quarterback power rankings before this, just, like, making sure, am I too biased? There were some rankings, I saw multiple rankings with Geno Smith ahead of CJ Stroud. Seriously? Geno Smith? Now, maybe this wasn't the same type of list. This might have been just, like, last year. Like, Geno might have played statistically better than CJ Stroud. And I'm not exactly sure. But I do think CJ Stroud, I'm not sure that he's ever going to crack sort of the, you know, Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, echelon, things like that. He'll probably be, like, the 4th, 5th fourth to sixth, say, best quarterback in the AFC for years to come. But I do think he's a little bit See, I'm messing up my words today. He's a little bit better than he's given credit for. And so I think we're going to kind of see that show. Hopefully we can kind of patch up our offensive line. I will not lie. I'm not really impressed, like, with what we're rolling out so far. You know, I mean, we traded tons, which we kind of had to because he was going to demand so much money. He's also a freaking false start liability, but we do have Cam Robinson, who's decent. I think we have 2 other tackles, essentially, like, in the other guy, Trent Brown and Ariante. So one of them will probably have to move inside. And I think we still have Titus Howard. So we'll see. I mean, if we can have, like, instead of the 32nd best offensive line, if we could have, like, a 16th or even 20th, I think that's going to be really solid. And CJ could have a bounce back in year 3 and kind of show why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. All right, moving on to number 8, I have Jaden Daniels. Now, Jayden, obviously very, very impressive rookie year. Initially, it was kind of tough. Like, basically, when I was, like, doing these, like, final rankings, it's, like, it's a tough struggle between, like, Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud, and Jaden Daniels. Initially, I had CJ over Jayden just kind of out of spite, because, like, it does feel like Jayden kind of stole CJ's thunder as far as, like, the whole, like, best offensive, you know, best rookie quarterback ever conversation, things like that. But I will say, Jayden did play very well. He didn't have a ton to work with himself. I mean, he had Terry McLaurin, which I guess is decent, but besides that, I don't even know that I could name, I guess, Curtis Samuel and maybe Jahan Dotson, if I'm not mistaken. His running backs are okay, so he didn't have a whole ton to work with in Washington, and he played really well. I also think what can be forgotten is that he also does have an impact in the running game. So not only were his past statistics better, but he did have, you know, just, like, he had the statistics running as well. So, I think he's really freaking good. I think his potential to be one of the top quarterbacks. Again, if I'm a coach or GM, and I need, a quarterback, Jayden would be up there, but the guys ahead of him are either more experienced than him and I would trust more, or just straight up better. So I'm not ready to put Jayden as like a top 2 quarterback or the best in the NFC or anything like that. But we'll see what the case is with Jaden Daniels. Good for him. I mean, you're second year in the league, you're already at number 8. That's a very good start to your career. All right, and number 7, I have Baker Mayfield. Now, Baker Mayfield, I don't know if people realize this, he played absolutely insane last year. Keep in mind, for most of the year, he was dealing with injuries with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. I mean, there was a few week stretch where neither Chris Godwin nor Mike Evans were on the field. So, as my friend Devin would remind me, his best options were like Jalen McMillan and Cade Otton, who my friend claims that can't catch a cold to save his life, right? So he didn't really have a lot to work with. I mean, he has a decent running back system, and yeah, no, I think Baker Mayfield, he's really balled out. He threw for 41 touchdowns last year. 41! Isn't that insane? Like, that's just insane coming from, like, Baker Mayfield. No, he's played really well. He's very sharp. He's a very balanced player. Yes, you could say he has Evans and Godwin, but again, most of the year he didn't have them, just like 24/7, right? So I really like Baker Mayfield. I do think Baker Mayfield is a solidified top 10 quarterback. And the nice thing is, like, which again, not that I'm considering it for the rankings, but I'm just saying generally, he's only like 28 or 29. He's relatively young. And keep in mind, like, Geno Smith, who everyone loves, is like 34. Baker Mayfield. So my point is to say that if you're he's 30, which is a little older than I thought. But what I'm trying to say is that if you're the Bucks, you have like 3 to 4 more solid years of Baker Mayfield. I mean, Baker will probably be in the league for like another 7 years, if I had to guess, and probably 4 of them will be good. So you're in a really good place if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers are a team. It wouldn't shock me if they just make the Super Bowl. Like, it absolutely would not shock me. And in fact, I watch out for it. Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl 2026. I'm here for it. Okay, at number 6. Jaylen Herz. Oh, he just won the Super Bowl. He should be number 2. Well, Jaylen Herz, I mean, he's a really good quarterback. I think, no one can really deny that. He has an element on the ground game, which is, helpful. I'm not saying the tush push necessarily. I'm just saying he can, like, run around and do stuff and things like that. He's a pretty decent deep ball, in my opinion. Relatively accurate. Yeah, he's a Super Bowl champion, which you can't really take away from him. Now, Nick Foles was once upon a time a Super Bowl champion. You had you've had like other mid quarterbacks like Eli Manning win Super Bowls. I'm not just saying that just because he's a Super Bowl champion kind of like elevates him to that status, but you do kind of get credit for that. And no, I think he's a really all-around well-balanced quarterback, which again, he can throw decently. Not necessarily the best. If I were to rank him based on just throwing ability, he's probably closer to the teens. But he has that running element as well. He like works hard, people like him, things like that. And yeah, honestly, like I don't view him like I view like say, Brock Purdy or someone like Kirk Cousins a couple years ago, to where like they're more of a system quarterback. And I know system quarterback can be kind of like thrown around here and there. I'm saying that like, just like I feel like these guys, they just kind of like thrive under kind of like Sam Darnold is kind of who I was thinking about as well. They kind of thrive because they had really good coaching and weapons, which there's nothing wrong with that. If you can execute, that's fine. And theoretically, I mean, yes, Jaylen Herz does have that, but I think if I had a blank slate and I only had a limited number of quarterbacks available, I would be pretty confident in Jaylen Herz. That might just be me, but I really like him, which, again, I think some people, there's going to be some, Mad Eagles fans who think I am too low, but then, like, some other angry fans who think I have him too high, so it all really depends. So, but Jaylen Herz at number 6. Moving on to number 5, who I believe to be the best quarterback in the NFC, not Jaylen Herz, not Baker Mayfield, Jared Goff. Now, I mean, honestly, when you watch Jared Goff, it's just a thing of beauty. He just slings it. He has a good deep ball. He has a strong arm, in my opinion. Not the most mobile quarterback, and I think he's one of the last of a dying breed to where he can't really move around. I mean, he can run, like, just on a straight line. He can run relatively fast and, like, I guess move around the pocket somewhat, but he's no Lamar Jackson or even Patrick Mahomes when it comes to, like, just the scrambling ability and, like, the no-look throws, no-look arm throws, whatever the heck they call it, and things like that. So I do think Jared Goff is a really good quarterback and one of the best quarterbacks in the NFC. I think people kind of forget that he did, go to a Super Bowl with the Rams, and now again, you could argue, like, was that just like a product of Sean McVay? But he clearly had the ability to kind of take a team there, and then, obviously in Detroit, he kind of joins forces with Dan Campbell, and he's just kind of like, he's just kind of one of the driving forces. He's kind of the lifeblood of that kind of Lions offense, that Lions team. I do think it is kind of worth noting, a lot of these quarterbacks might be seen as they have, like, elite weapons around them, which is kind of true to an extent, but most quarterbacks need really good supporting casts to succeed. Like, like good offensive line, good defense, good receivers, tight end, things like that, good coaching. So I'm not necessarily going to dock points from, some of the top guys just because they had a strong supporting cast around them. Now, there were some who did, and I kind of, like, think a little bit less of them, but Jared Goff is not one of those. He's number 5 in my book, the best quarterback in the NFC. And I think from here, you can predict who the top 4 are. Not necessarily in the order, but, unless you think I'm, like, forgetting someone, I think we can all kind of determine whom I believe to be the top 4 quarterbacks in the NFL, all in the AFC. The question will be just the order. At number 4, Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar Jackson, very, very, very talented player. He's always a nightmare to play against. Trust me, as a Texans fan, every time we play the Ravens, we get walloped. Like, we'll play other teams like the Chiefs or the Bills. I mean, the Chiefs will keep it close. We'll beat the Bills, just like, Bengals when they're good. Like, we might win a game there as well, but we have not beat the Ravens in over a decade. The last time we beat the Ravens was in 2014. I'm pretty sure Joe Flacco was on the team, and I think Gary Kubiak was, like, an assistant coach for the Baltimore Ravens, because that was the year after he got fired by us in 2013. And I believe we were rolling out, was it Fitzpatrick? I know that was kind of the Fitzpatrick year, but I think we were rolling out Ryan Mallett in that game, actually. I'd have to look that up, but I think in 2014, the last time we beat the Ravens, it was Ryan Mallett. Was it Ryan Mallett? No, I think... No, because Mallett got... Rest in peace, by the way, Ryan Mallett. I think he got cut in 2015. So, I think it was Ryan Mallett. Either Ryan Mallett, Ryan Fitzpatrick, or, like... I don't know, TJ Yates maybe? Someone random, but anyway, that not really to go off that tangent. But all that to say, I'm a Texans fan, and I see, like, somehow, like, whenever we play the Ravens, like, it's not a close game. Like, I could, like, tell you all the games. I could tell you the game in, like, 2019 where it was supposed to be a hyped up game. It was Lamar's second year, like his first MVP year, and like we got destroyed like 40-7. I could tell you there was that Christmas game last year, there was the divisional round game the year before, just so many horrible games versus Lamar. All that to say, I do think he's a little bit limited as a passer. His arm alone doesn't scare me as much as it would, like, the top guys. Not even say some of the other guys, like, below him. Like, I probably take just arm alone. I might take CJ Stroud over him. And I think Lamar, obviously, he has experience, but also he can, like, run around, which is, like, a really critical component. It will remain to be seen, like, in the next few years, because he's also probably pushing 30. He might be 28 or 29, but he might be pushing 30, actually. So it will remain to be seen how long he can sustain that. But again, I think for right here, right now, he still has the athletic ability to where he can be sort of like the top 4 quarterback that you can sort of like build your franchise around. All right, so I have Lamar at number 4. At number 3, I have Joe Burrow. I think everyone recognizes at this point, Joe Burrow is really, really talented, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He just plays on the Bengals, which, I mean, they've had some success, like, I think a lot of people think that the Bengals are some, like, dumpster fire franchise when in reality, they've had some solid years. Some of those Marvin Lewis, Andy Dalton years, they had like really good teams. I mean, they haven't been able to win a Super Bowl. I guess they hadn't, and I was actually looking at like a clip, and I kind of forgot this. I think a lot of us forget. Before they beat the Raiders in like the 2022 like wild card game, the Bengals had not won a playoff game in 31 years, which meant that before that, I remember I would see this, no one had ever texted about a Bengals playoff win until 2023, when that happened, right? So I guess you could say the Bengals have been a questionable franchise, but I think they're a little bit more well run than they are given credit for. That said, Joe Burrow is insanely talented. He can, like, not necessarily the most like mobile, although he can run, but he has a pretty strong arm. He just has like good instincts, can like, just feel the pocket. I mean, he's just kind of the total package. So, he's had some insane games, just, which again, I know he has Chase and Higgins to throw to, but, he's able to like kind of deliver in those moments. So I do strongly believe in Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is, going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the world for years to come. And at number 2, I have Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen, I mean, if you really think about it, he's probably just a little bit better of a version of Joe Burrow, because he can also like run and truck people and things like that, but he also has a super strong arm. He's also a quarterback who doesn't have a lot to work with offensively. Like, I guess he had Amari Cooper last year, which is decent, but it was like did he have Amari Cooper? I think so. Yeah, I think it was traded for midseason, if I'm not mistaken. It's like Amari Cooper, I mean, he had Shakir, it's like Coleman guy, right? Keon Coleman, I believe. So he does have some weapons. Like, it's not like he has like the Tennessee Titans receiving core or something like that. But I feel like he's kind of like, one of the quarterbacks. He's just able to just like win games single-handedly, just like carry the team on his back, literally. And he's just really, really freaking special. And I think any team, just about any team would be lucky to have him as their quarterback. But the best quarterback in the entire NFL, in the entire world, the entire universe, still, in my opinion, even though he had a down year, even though people think he has the ref on his side, Patrick Mahomes. I think he's just the total package, multiple-time Super Bowl champion, obviously. He's been able to adapt to different situations. When he entered the league, he had all the flashy, like, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. I think, like, McCall Hardman was, like, pretty good, right? He had, like, a lot of, like, flashiness sort of, like, going on. But then he's kind of had to pivot to kind of a defensive-first approach where, like, they can't quite pay Tyreek Hill and, like, a lot of the other offensive guys have to move. So he kind of switches to a mode where he's more playing, like, game manager with more, like, check downs and, like, playing a little bit more conservatively, which I think is sort of a good thing for him. I think that's kind of good for his standing. Yeah, no, Patrick Mahomes, I think, is just the best quarterback in the world. I mean, if you disagree, I can't necessarily argue with that, but he was, really good even before, like, the refs being involved was a thing. I think it's honestly a little stupid, even though as a Texans fan, I did see the game and there were some like nonsense calls. But at the same time, if you're Patrick Mahomes, like, I don't think that should be an indictment on Patrick Mahomes. I think it's just whatever. So anyway, those are my top 10 quarterbacks and my top 32 in the series. Let me know what you think. If you think I'm absolutely a casual, non-ball knowing, degenerate, you're welcome to sort of voice that as long as it's respectful. Do remember, this is football for fun. I'm not some professional or anything like that. I wasn't here like watching film 24/7 of these guys. This is just based off what I know from what I've heard from people, from what I saw whenever I would get a chance to watch them. And yeah, again, if you like this video, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you for the next one. Peace.